So I know I've been slacking on the long form content, but that's because I'm working on something that I'm really excited about. And once I'm done with it, I'll be happy to share it with the channel. But I want to put something out, and I'm also having technical difficulties with the microphone that I have. So the audio on this might not be great. Sorry about it, but I want to put something out. And so today I'm going to be talking about 4 inexpensive and very simple pieces of gear, but things that definitely make a big difference in improving your backpacking experience. All right, first thing on the list is something I was skeptical about, but after trying, I found to be extremely useful, and that is toe socks or sock liners. A lot of people use Injinji brand. That's probably the most common, but these are just a cheap pair. I actually got 2 pairs of these on Amazon for I think like $13 total. And I used both pairs the entire way on the Pacific Crest Trail and didn't have any holes in these, even though I wore holes in my Darn Toughs. All right, so I don't think the name brand matters as much, but the sock liner helped so much with blisters. It was actually insane. If you have an issue with blisters, I would definitely recommend trying sock liners. I heard that tip from a lot of people, but I was kind of skeptical, thinking, well, if you're wearing 2 pairs of socks, your feet are just going to get hotter and sweatier, and you're going to end up getting more blisters, or at least the same amount of blisters. But the truth is, that was not the case at all for me. And I know everyone's feet might work differently, but if blisters are something that has plagued you on longer hiking trips, I would 100% recommend this. At least give it a shot for a few days, see if it makes any difference. Once I started wearing these, I actually ended up ditching the gaiters because I found that sock liners are actually better for preventing blisters than gaiters, because even if your outside socks, your Darn Toughs, are getting dirty or sandy or whatever, having the sock liner underneath is not going to allow that abrasion directly under your skin. And so once I started using these, I basically ditched the gaiters and had no issues with blisters ever since then. If your feet are already battle hardened and you don't have an issue with blisters, then you don't need to worry about this. But if that's something that has plagued you in the past, definitely give these a shot. All right, next up is something like a little pack towel, like a microfiber towel. I cut this one in half so it's like, a manageable size, not a full-size towel. Or you can even use something just like a bandana. And these have so many uses and make your backpacking trip a lot more enjoyable. For me, the most valuable thing I got out of using this was when you come across a water source, or if you're camping near a water source at the end of the day, get this wet, wipe your face off, wipe your neck off, get all that junk, all that sweat, all that sunscreen, all that dust, get it off of your skin, and go to bed clean. You feel so much better than just crawling into your sleeping bag dirty and sweaty and covered in lotion and all sorts of crap. Okay, so hygiene is one benefit of something like this, but it also has a lot of other uses. When you wake up in the morning, if your tent is covered in condensation, you can wipe down the inside of your tent, make sure that it's dry before you pack it up and leave camp for that day. And you can also use this to cool off / as a sun protectant. I would like to dip this in the water, take my hat off, put this over my head, put my hat back on. Beautiful, right? And now you have sun protection, but you still get that airflow on the back of your neck, something that you wouldn't get if you were to just put your sun hood up. All right, so a lot of different things you can use these for, but again, hygiene is the main one. Find water, clean yourself, wring it out, rinse it off, dry it out, good to go. You'll feel so much better. All right, the next item on the list is something that some people would call a luxury item, but I think is definitely worth it, and that is some sort of camp pillow. Something to lay your head on at night. This is a more traditional pillow with foam inside of it. It feels like a pillow you'd find in your house. But obviously there are also inflatable pillows that are much smaller, much lighter, not quite as comfortable, but definitely more comfortable than just laying your head straight on the ground. So this is something I would take on maybe an overnight or a 2 or 3 night trip, and something like this is what I would take on a thru hike. Either way though, I'm definitely bringing one of the two, just because it makes your sleeping experience so much more comfortable, and the weight definitely is worth it for how light they are. It's not that big of a deal to throw in your pack. All right, and last but not least is going to be a Tyvek ground sheet, or some sort of waterproof ground sheet. This is one of my favorite pieces of gear. It's so simple and it sounds so silly, but Honestly, I just love this thing. I leave it folded up like this on the outside of my pack, so it's always very easily accessible. Anytime I stop to take a break, I'm gonna take this out and unfold it, not all the way, just enough to make a sit pad so I can sit down right here and not worry about getting dirty or sandy or wet or whatever the ground might have. Also, when you stop to take a longer break, like a lunch break, you can unfold this even just halfway and sit on it and then have a space in front of you that is white or high contrast to the gear that you have. So I feel comfortable laying my stuff out in front of me and not worrying about losing it or leaving it behind when I get packed up because I can see everything very clearly. And before I pick my ground sheet up, I'm going to make sure that I collect all my gear and not lose anything or leave it behind in the dirt. The alternate to this is going to be something like a foam pad, obviously. But if you're already carrying an inflatable sleeping mat, you don't necessarily need that closed cell foam pad. And this is just going to be much more compact, much more convenient, and do essentially all the same stuff minus having a little bit of cushion. But again, if you're already using an inflatable pad, you don't need that cushion unless you're going to bed. You can definitely just throw this out on the ground and take a nap right on top of this. This is one of my favorite pieces of gear. Leave it right on the outside of my pack and use it probably 4 to 5 times a day. And it costs, I don't know, 15 bucks, maybe that, depending where you get it from. And again, this is the same one I used the entire duration of the Pacific Crest Trail. I have 0 holes in it, 0 anything. It's only gotten better with time, I think. Just something very simple that, that definitely makes your backpacking trip more enjoyable. So there you go, 4 very simple pieces of gear. Obviously these are nothing groundbreaking, but if you're not using these or you haven't used them before, I would definitely recommend giving them a try because they do really improve your backpacking experience quite a bit, I think. Do you have any simple pieces of gear that you won't leave home without? Leave those in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed, appreciate you watching, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.